Oh my gosh, here we go.
Okay.
Setting up meeting for YouTube Live. I'll send you the link once I have it and you can put it out on the Facebooks and stuff.
Cool, cool, cool. It says we're streaming on Zoom, but I see nothing on YouTube to.
I think it's just getting itself together on my side. Here we go. I got the link now. I'm putting
Aha.
it in our chat,
Great, great, great.
our Zoom chat.
Yeah. Link. Heyo. Okay. Hey everyone, if you can see us, I'm posting to Facebook right now.
Yeah, if you can see us, this is a real experiment.
Mm, Uh,
What's happening?
let's post that. Let's see if it worked.
A YouTube page is currently generating on my side of the interwebs, so
Okay.
we shall see.
Hopefully it works. I'm trying to pull it up too.
You can see us.
There we go. Okay, so yeah, we're live. I'm not gonna play that though because that's gonna be like a minute behind where we actually are, which is gonna be loud.
Very confusing.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, it's a little bit like we're in a wormhole right now, so please forgive. We are in new territory.
Yeah, we don't
On my side of the
know, we don't know what we're doing, but I've pulled up this to see if we can get some comments of people up here. For anyone joining us, whether you're joining us live or joining us later, I'm Eliza.
I'm Jonelle.
We are the RomCom Killjoys.
That's us. You know, Eliza, I realized in the shower today that our names rhythmically scan perfectly with the Schuyler sisters. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, please sing to me.
Eliza and Jonelle, the RomCom Killjoys.
Excellent. We're gonna write a whole musical, guys.
Yeah, we really are. It's going to be great. The RomCom Killjoys, the musical, and prepare yourselves. It's going to be dope.
It's gonna be so good, and we are both gonna star in it,
Yeah.
which won't be about it at all.
I'm only going to be like mildly horrible, as my college musical theater professors can probably attest.
But I don't know if anyone's joined us yet. Hopefully you have. We're here tonight to celebrate fall. First of all, happy fall, everyone.
Observe our fall ensembles.
I've got some little pumpkins right there.
Tiny pumpkins.
So it's fall. I gotta say it was cool today and yesterday, but it's not cool enough for me to be wearing the sweater I'm currently wearing.
Well, I am wearing three-quarter length sleeves, and it's 95 degrees in Texas right now. So, I made a choice.
It was a choice. We've got 4 people watching us. I can't see who they are. You might be able to.
Hi, the 4 of you. Like, I don't know, send us a GIF or something. What's up? Say hi.
Yeah,
Oh, I see comments. Hi, friends.
Oh, that's exciting.
You're alive. You're here and you're present. This is so exciting.
This is very exciting. We're trying this. We're not totally sure how it's gonna work, so bear with us.
Yes. We're trying. We're just some little noobs trying our best. That's all.
But we are in a few minutes going to be watching a what I believe is a truly terrible Ms. Mojo YouTube video that tries to talk about feminism in romantic comedies, and I would argue fails horribly. But we'll see how you feel after we watch it.
And for the record, I have not yet seen this, so this is going to be a really fun moment of Eliza knowingly being like, wait for it, and me being like, oh no. Oh no, 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 no.
Yeah. I found this a couple weeks ago. It like popped up on my YouTube suggestions, probably because of everything we're doing with the podcast. Now my algorithms are like, this is literally your favorite words. But I watched it and it was gonna be terrible. Ms. Mojo videos always piss me off, and I watch them anyway. Like, I don't know why, but every time I see one suggested on the side on YouTube, I'm like, oh, maybe this one will actually be a good collection of like awesome TV fight scenes. And then you're watching and you're like, I think they Googled awesome TV fight scenes and then literally just grabbed the top 10 that like popped up without even clicking on the Google links, and then had someone who's never watched a movie ever record a script talking about it.
Correct. And I feel like such a hater, and I'm so sorry, world of YouTube, but it's so true. Like these Miss Mojo videos tend to read to me like, BuzzFeed listicles of old that were just like community submitted and not even like the good kind, just like
Right. Yeah,
basic AF.
it's the worst kind of listicle. It's like BuzzFeed, group mind, hive mind combined with like a Cracked article, but like when Cracked was starting to just like get really crappy.
Yes.
Like high school and college, I was obsessed with reading Cracked articles, and they may have actually like truly invented the listicle. So like BuzzFeed should really give them some respect. But after a while, they got to a point where they were just like truly terrible. And I feel like that's what a lot of the Ms. Mojo or similar type videos are. So I saw it and I was like, I have to watch this.
So also take note, internet. Clearly we are the killist of killjoys because we just killed Miss Mojo and Cracked in one comment. Deal with it.
And BuzzFeed.
Canceled.
Like we're just everything
And
that's
BuzzFeed canceled.
how I entertain myself on the internet, I just decided was the worst.
I will say this though, in case anyone out there listening has not read the Sean Baby article about subject beef and the Sims and the limits of human ethics, you really must. It's one of the best things I have ever read. Academic, philosophical, artistic. It's magnificent in every way.
And there's our first antidote for the night. Our first.
My first antidote for the night is a listicle about how to torture your Sims.
God, that brings me back. Yeah, all of this is to say I've watched this video, but it was weeks ago and I kind of don't remember it, and Jonelle hasn't watched it at all. So
Yes.
we have no idea what content we're bringing you tonight, but it'll be interesting.
Right. Like so this is a real like live theater version of like Risk where like it could just be that Eliza's like, Janelle, like, isn't this fucked up? And I'll be like, yeah,
It's fine.
it's fine.
Yeah, I feel like this video has like two things that it presents. It presents stuff that it presents as a feminist moment that just like straight up isn't. It's just like a normal plot device. And then it has stuff that like is maybe a feminist aspect to a romantic comedy film, but is explained terribly. So we can take both sides of that down, I feel like.
Yeah, I think both of those are going to be a problem for me, dog. So,
Can you see, do we have any comments? Has anyone said hi yet?
yeah, we have Melissa, Trey, Alex in the chat saying, what's up?
Hey,
Melissa says you should talk about the Onceler. So I don't know if you've got strong feelings about that or.
oh my God. Okay, so all I do is watch YouTube videos talking about pop culture and fandom trends. Like that's how I entertain myself at all times. So I did a few days ago find a YouTube video talking about the Onceler fandom, which I knew nothing about and am now truly scarred by for the rest of my life. I did send it to Melissa. Everyone should go watch this video. I think if you just like search Onceler explanation or history or something like that, it'll pop up. This is a fandom that like was a few years younger than us. Like I feel like it was teenagers when we were in college became obsessed with this. And the long story short is that they became really obsessed with this one character from the Really Bad Lorax movie. And
Yes.
were so obsessed with him that they like created an entire fandom out of him, but they didn't like any of the other characters from the movie. So they shipped him with himself and created just like a bunch of different versions of the Onceler and then created Oncest.
I just want to speak to from the academic side of the room that is the queerest shit I've ever heard, and like queer theorists should get on the Onceler like ASAP, like immediately. If someone out there studies queer theory in any regard, please write a book on the Onceler. I beg you.
Yeah. And I just on a personal level, I'm glad that I was 4 years too old to be involved in that because my brief foray into the Super Hulak fandom as it was, clearly if I'd been 4 years younger, a person. So small mercies.
So before we start this video, my dog is causing a ruckus. So get ready to meet my dog world. Woo.
Guys, this is the quality content we're bringing you. It's just going to be Janelle's dog for the next 45 minutes. I hope you're all really good with that.
He's just gonna bark his head off and be very upset that I haven't fed him all the food in our kitchen. And now he has come to lick my ankle and he's currently leaving. So
that seems right. Bye, puppy.
Hello, puppy. Goodbye, puppy.
Anyway, so all this to say, we like watching dumb YouTube videos, and we're gonna talk about one now.
Yeah, let's do it. Eliza, you wanna get this started so I can start judging it?
Let me share my screen.
Yeah.
Oh, look, that's our Facebook page.
Oh gosh, that is so weird to see your face on a screen share.
All right, so I'm gonna pop open this thing. It's called Top 10 Feminist Moments in RomComs. We're gonna work our way through this slowly. So
Okay.
And in this genre, it's possible to find inspiring moments for female empowerment.
Can you hear that?
Hold please, hold please, hold please, hold please, hold please.
That didn't take very long.
So like, it's possible to find moments of female empowerment. Let's just start there. So
even in this genre.
Even in this genre. So there's a lot of assumptions about the romantic comedy there as an inherently disempowering genre, which I'm sure we have debated a lot on the podcast. But two, my biggest problem with this is, and people who know me well know that this is my hill to die on, is that empowerment and feminism are not the same thing. You heard it here first, folks.
Oh, tell me more, Jonelle.
Well, if you follow a feminism based in women of color feminism, as I do, then you know that in fact empowerment often means kowtowing to hegemonic, violent norms that suppress people of color, gender variance, and body variance, that is, people who are identify as disabled. So finding yourself climbing up the ladder of empowerment without questioning what power means first, and dismantling the systems of power that oppress all women who are not rich, white, cis, straight, etc., you're not doing the feminism. You have failed to do the feminism.
And then I'm just going to chime in while we're paused here with my media perspective, that this assumption that already, as you say, rom-coms are already being seen as a non-female, as a medium for which females are not either empowered or strengthened or raised up, is perhaps a media savvy acknowledgement that it's often more about making money than about actually creating good role models, but is probably more likely part of this very long trend of disliking things that are inherently feminine or inherently liked by people who identify as female. You see this especially in hatred towards teen female things. Anything that teen girls like is seen as frivolous, silly, stupid, harmful, whatever it is, the violence and anger and vitriol towards the Twilight fandom, towards, girls who like boy bands, through all that kind of stuff, comes from that same root as this thing being like, even a rom-com could have value. Like, of course it could. It's just that it's a genre that is by and large made for women, or at least non-male identifying peoples, and as therefore seen as frivolous, when the genres that are made for male identifying populations, like stupid action movies and, and all that kind of stuff, are just as frivolous and ridiculous, but no one's saying like, oh my God, there's just no good role models in Transformers or the Fast and the Furious. Like, that's not what it's about, and that's fine. And rom-coms is a large genre that covers both things where there's going to be like characters who you aspire to be like, and things that are just purely frivolous, and that's not inherently worse.
Exactly. And in cultural studies, the theories that they've put up around, one of the theories they put up explaining that reaction is this idea of the monstrous feminine, or the grotesque feminine, the feminine grotesque, which is the idea that if things that are, as you point out, things that are masculine are considered neutral, and like not expansive in any way, right? They're just the way things are. Whereas the feminine is considered excessive and over the top. So it is always seen as being too much, even when it's just a little bit of the feminine. Yeah.
All right. So we're 7 seconds into this video.
It's gonna be a long night, guys. Pour yourself a drink.
We clearly have. Here we go.
Today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 feminist moments in rom-coms. For this list, we're looking at the most empowering moments in some of our favorite romantic comedies. If you like what you're hearing, be sure to check out the full song at the link below. Number 10, Rachel's Standing Up to Eleanor, Crazy Rich Asians. Rachel Chu is introduced as a clever economics professor with a solid poker face, but she's dealt a rough hand in Crazy Rich Asians. It can be hard meeting your boyfriend's family for the first time, especially if he neglected to mention they are super rich and protective of their customs and status. From Rachel and Eleanor's first interaction, it's clear there are philosophical differences between them.
Pursuing one's passion. How American. Well, your mother is very open-minded, not like here, where parents are obsessed with shaping the life of their children.
When it seems like Nick has to choose between her or his family, Rachel makes the choice for him and proves her worth to both herself and the disapproving Eleanor in a game of Mahjong.
I'm not leaving because I'm scared. Or because I think I'm not enough. Because maybe for the first time in my life, I know I am.
Though it could be easy to think of Eleanor as the villain, she's simply one of the strong women in the film, protecting values close to them.
A poor, raised by a single mother, low-class immigrant. Nobody.
Number 9, Kat giving Bianca advice.
Okay, we're gonna pause it right there. Go.
Well, so I actually, of course, agree that this moment in Crazy Rich Asians is magnificent in a variety of ways. But my issue with their take on it is that they're really oversimplifying the like cultural complexity going on in that moment between Eleanor and our lead, whose name I can't remember. Terrible.
You even say
Awful.
it in the, they were just
Someone
talking about
smack me. I know they were just saying it anyway. So there's a really intense complexity going on there with these questions of like diaspora and also class and also kind of intra-racial relationships. So I don't know. I think the idea of saying like you might think of Eleanor as the villain, but actually she's defending her cultural values. It's like, well, not really. It's a lot more complicated than that, and a lot of it has to do with class. But okay.
Right. Like, I wouldn't say like that's like an anti-feminist moment or anything. Like, it definitely is a moment in which the lead character like makes decisions about her life and is shown as a sort of, you know, modern, self-sufficient woman, whatever that means. But that moment is less about like, look at this strong woman, and more about this class struggle and this, you know, this very particular cultural conversation that's happening. And I know there's some really interesting articles explaining all of the sort of intricacies of that scene in regards to the Mahjong, which, like, and forgive me if I'm butchering this, I'm trying to base this on what I've read in the past on this, but essentially she's like, has the tiles to play a really strong hand and is clearly winning, but throughout the time is not playing them. So she's showing that like she knows how to play the game and she's got all the cards, the tiles in her hand, but that she is not willing to put them down just to win, right? And so like, and that's a whole complicated thing between her and the potential mother-in-law. And so I just feel like that's not like about like feminist empowerment, whatever that means. It's about a different conversation.
Yeah, it's strong, but it's not. In fact, the thing that's complex about it is that she's not trying to deconstruct the kind of like post-colonial cultural complexity going on there. She's leaving it intact and respecting it as a reality, but she's not trying to unpack it at all.
Yeah, Rachel, by the way, is the name of that character.
Thank you, Trey. It is Rachel.
As played by Constance Wu. All right, so we're going to continue, and we can already see where this is going because we're at 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh, shit.
10 Things I Hate About You.
I'm not hostile. I'm annoyed. Why don't you try being nice?
Kat from 10 Things I Hate About You is one of the few characters in popular rom-coms from the 90s who is an overt feminist. In fact, it's something that's used against her in
Okay, I feel like that was like every character in a rom-com in the 90s, but whatever.
The film, as she's often made to seem man-hating and, for lack of a better word, shrewish.
You forget, I don't care what people think.
In many ways, this isn't a feminist film, with lots of aspects that seem problematic in retrospect, but what redeems it is Kat herself. Because beyond her tough exterior, she really does have the interests of women at heart. In one memorable moment, she reminds her sister to stay true to herself and that she doesn't always need to live up to the expectations of others.
You don't always have to be who they want you to be, you know.
Number 8, Tula getting an education.
Yes, Jonelle.
I love how the people at Miss Mojo, the lovely people at Miss Mojo, have stated that one of the great things about Kat is that, you know, she's a feminist and that she's all about women. But then they're like, good for you throwing that other woman under the bus. Like, yeah, tell her that everything she does is bad because Kat is a feminist, not like other girls.
She's not like other girls. I also just like they don't get into any of the intricacies in that scene in particular, or much less the whole movie, because the scene that they were showing, which she wasn't really, the voiceover was not really talking about, but the scene that they were showing is the scene where Kat finally tells her sister that she had had sex with the popular boy in ninth grade and that it didn't go well for her and that it backfired on her, and so she chose to like stay away from boys and all that kind of stuff, but that she chose to never tell her sister about it, her sister who has now been potentially dating this same guy. And I feel like of all of the moments in the film between the two women, this is sort of the least feminist moment, because it's this moment where you find out that she's been withholding really valuable information from her sister.
Yeah.
That her sister probably, for the sake of true understanding and consent in the situation, could have really benefited from knowing. So like, and I know the film spins it as this whole, like, she tried to let her sister make her own decisions, but like, you can let your sister make your own decisions and still be like, by the way, this guy you're trying to fuck, I fucked once. Like, I just feel like it's a complicated scene that's not just like, oh, feminism.
Well, and to your point, the reason why she hadn't talked to her is it's not only, I mean, the film, she does say, like, I want her to make her own decisions, but the way the film sets them up is really saying, like, well, these two sisters can't be allies because they have different styles. They're from different cliques. They don't share a whisper network, which is not realistic. That's not actually how relationships between, you know, femme-presenting people are.
Right, like one of them reads Shakespeare and The Feminine Mystique, and one of them owns a Prada handbag, and so they can't be friends.
Whatever will they do?
But, you know, we'll definitely do an episode on that at some point.
Yes.
And get all into that.
That will happen.
My big fat Greek wedding.
If you want, I could go to college and take a few courses.
The entire premise of My Big Fat Greek Wedding hinges on Tula's overprotective Greek family, who treats her like she doesn't have any agency despite her being a grown and accomplished woman.
Why you want to leave me? I'm not leaving you. Don't you want me to do something with my life?
Near the beginning of the story, she makes the decision to go to college, even though it's patently against what her father wants for her. Throughout the whole movie, she works hard to assert her independence, while still respecting their wishes and traditions. In fact, the film does a great job of showing how you can carve out your own path while still showing your love for your family.
You're interesting and you're beautiful and fun, and you got a weird family. Who doesn't?
We can show
and
today.
Now we're going to have an
that
ad, ladies and gentlemen. So this brought to you by whatever this is.
Position in the United States.
Is this the one part where we could critique capitalism?
And it's all the part where we critique capitalism. What are you new?
Number 7.
All right, My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Let's talk about it.
Okay, so first of all, like, I do actually like in this movie, the story of Tula like deciding to go back to school and get a skill that she can then go get another job with. Like, that storyline, like, that's cool, it's great. And if we're talking feminist empowerment, like, it certainly fits the bill. But it also, like, let's not forget the fact that it's also couched in a makeover montage.
Yep.
Pretty significant one.
Pretty significant.
Like, she's so clumsy, she doesn't know how to put in a contact lens. Which, like, there's not many things I critique about this movie, but that sequence does make me cringe.
Well, and remind me, so does she get her education before the makeover, or is it part of her makeover story?
Part of, like, she starts going to college, or, you know, to the local community college, and she, like, starts dressing cuter because she's going to classes, and she, like, learns how to do her hair and her makeup so that she can sit at the table with the blonde girls. And it's portrayed as, like, it's so great now that she's, like, an adult and confident, the blonde girls let her sit at the table because she asked to sit there. But, like, before she can ask to sit there, she does have to learn to do her hair and her makeup.
Right. And so what we're seeing is that, you know, she deserves it all, but not until she looks good. Because when she looks good, then we get to actually care about her. But before that, she's kind of sad and she's, like, attached to her family. And did it say that, like, look at her, she was able to get an education while still showing how much she loved her family? Did those words happen? Did I imagine that?
I didn't know that those were two things that like couldn't happen.
Yeah, like I got an education. I love my family. I'm currently living with my parents. I have a fucking PhD basically.
Right.
Why, Miss Mojo? Why you gotta hate like that?
And I know in the movie, like it's framed as this moment where her father wasn't expecting her to like go and get an education and stuff, but she's also clearly not the only like educated, employed woman in this family. You know, I don't think
Right.
it's in the movie meant to, I don't think you're meant to understand that they believe you can't get an education and still care about your family. I think it's much more about like she has felt because of the family pressure that she couldn't do something on her own. And that's what she's choosing to do. I also want to say, like, no hate to Nia Vardalos, who's the star and writer and producer of My Big Fat Greek Wedding, because like she was taking a sort of pretty non-traditional story and going through a pretty non-traditional route to produce this movie, and needed it to be picked up by studios so that it would go to a movie theater. So there are things like the makeover scene that they clearly put in so that it fits a formula that movie theaters are likely to pick up and to distribute. So I'm not saying like it's like a huge negative that the movie has this montage. I'm just saying like it is a commentary on the standards for our films, that like a girl, even if we're supposed to sympathize with her from the beginning, can't be like truly self-actualized until she's had the makeover.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is a good moment for us to remind everyone that even in these moments where we're critiquing films, we do not believe in cancel culture here at RomCom Killjoys. Everything is complex and multi-layered, and we can critique something without saying that it should not be watched forever. But there are things that should not be watched forever, and we will tell you what films those are.
We will. And now, bring it on.
Torrance dumping Aaron. Bring it on.
You were too busy to
Okay.
Already, okay, bring it. Bring it. Has it been Baratin?
That this powerful feminist moment is this girl breaking up with her shitty boyfriend who's gone off to college and is dumping her.
I mean, frankly, if she had gone on to have sex with Eliza Dushku's character and taken up a relationship with her, then second wave like lesbian feminism would have been like, yes, high key feminist moment. Dump your boyfriend and get a girlfriend.
But it's just like the process of dumping your shitty first half of the movie boyfriend. Like, is that an inherently feminist act?
No.
Great, cool.
believe in me. No, but wait. You weren't too busy to sell me out to Courtney and Whitney, were you?
For Torrance Shipman from Bring It On, her relationship with her older boyfriend Aaron isn't exactly what her world revolves around. She clearly spends much more time thinking about cheerleading. But the audience is aware from early on that he is obviously not worthy of her affections, and it all comes to a head when Aaron tells Torrance that he doesn't think she's captain material.
You're a great cheerleader, Tor, and you're cute as hell. It's just that maybe you're just not captain material.
Torrance ends up asserting herself when she goes to visit Aaron at his college dorm and tells him just how little she cares about him, and in turn, their relationship.
You're a great cheerleader, Aaron. It's just that maybe you're not exactly boyfriend material. Bye-bye.
Number 6, Jane's.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like the only context in which breaking up with your boyfriend is a feminist move is if you decide to get a girlfriend, or a person who does not identify with any gender as your partner. That would be pretty feminist, but...
Suppose if your boyfriend does not identify as a feminist and you did not either because you were miseducated about what feminism is, and then you learn that yourself and decide that you're not willing to put up with this person who isn't also also willing to learn and grow with you.
Right.
Maybe that's a feminist moment, but like in general, that's just like a thing people do. Like
right.
People. And in movies, when someone is clearly the shitty, not famous actor who's playing the shitty, not interesting first boyfriend, they're going to be broken up with for plot necessity, which is not a feminist moment.
I think in this case, Miss Mojo has confused a really snappy callback moment of comedy and catharsis with feminism, which happens to me all the time. So...
I totally know. Also, that scene does end with the girl he was cheating on Torrance with finding out he's a cheerleader and being very horrified she just slept with a cheerleader. So like we still have some no homo gay bashing moments right at the end of that beautiful feminist moment.
And if we ever get to that movie, that's a big thing we'll talk about, is that there is quite a bit of like homophobia in that film that is frankly wild for a movie about cheerleading. Okay?
Okay.
Saying no to Jake. It's complicated.
Oh, gosh. All right. Yeah, I'm fine.
It's Complicated was written and directed by the prolific Nancy Meyers, so it's no surprise that it features a strong female character. While early in the film, Jane succumbs to a relationship with her ex-husband who clearly did not treat her well. As time goes on, she gains the confidence to actually do what's right for her.
Hello, stranger. Welcome back.
Now that she finds herself in the position of being the other woman, she's forced to contend with what she truly wants. In the end, even though it would be easy to get back together with her ex, she stands her ground and finally moves on from what was clearly a toxic relationship.
We blew it the first time around. This time we just should have known better.
Number 5.
Okay, once again, we have someone breaking up with the relationship that was not healthy for either of them to be in, portrayed as a feminist moment, which, like, again, I just think is plot. Like, I think it's just sort of a thing that had to happen.
Yeah. Why? I mean, like, this is actually a moment.
Why do we believe that a woman just like making a decision is inherent feminism?
I know, like our standard is so low for women asserting themselves that breakups are feminism. Wow.
If I decide to not heat up the frozen food in my freezer and instead go to the grocery store and buy vegetables, is that feminism?
There's so much. There's just so much here. I mean, oh man, I had a really good thought and then I lost it. Shit, what was it?
Gang who's listening to us, if you disagree with us and believe that breaking up with your boyfriend is feminist, no matter the circumstances, please let us know in the comments.
Yes, please address. No, I remember what I was going to say. So here's the thing that I want to say about this. When you break up with someone and you stand up for your like needs and your emotional world, that's not a feminist move. That's just like being a cool, empowered human. And I think this is a moment where sometimes the discourse of feminism, or pop feminism as I like to call it, folds in on itself and it actually like becomes anti-feminine in a way that it doesn't intend to, right? So like by saying that like breaking up with your boyfriend is the strongest move you can make, like that's some pretty weak sauce shit right there. Like how are you supposed to topple patriarchy and capitalism and white supremacy when the best you can do is break up with your boyfriend? Do you know what I mean?
Right. When like it's literally a toxic relationship where he's cheating on you or cheating with you. Like these are terrible examples of someone like examining their own feminine power. Like and this is why people who don't understand what feminism is, because it's portrayed like this in certain aspects of the media, say things like feminism is all about hating men, because they've been told that the most feminist thing you can do is dump your boyfriend.
Right, which like for me, it doesn't even like, that's why this is so surprising that there are 2 of these on this list so far. I'm sure there are more.
So far.
That doesn't even register on my like Bechdel scale of feminism or whatever, you know? Like
right, like it's so like that's not what it's about at all. And making a healthy choice for yourself, like while as a feminist, I want every woman, every person to continue to make healthy choices for themselves in their own lives. Like doing that is not a feminist act. It's just a human act. Feminism it's again, part of like, as a feminist, I want people to be making healthy choices. And I think that feminism can help you make those choices, but just like making choices, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I think the problem here, I think the problem here is that like, it's not a matter of it like being like not feminist. It's just that like, of course, this sort of behavior fits into a feminist worldview. The idea of like acknowledging power structures in your relationship and being like, I'm not here for this and I'm going to stand up for my needs is part of the feminist philosophy. But it being 2 of 10 most feminist moments, like I don't know how that's possible, and it's very sad.
Well, and in both of the movies they've shown us, in many of the movies they've shown us, I don't even think these are the most like feminist moments if we're looking for something that can be qualified as like a quantifiable feminist moment. In that last movie, and it's complicated, there are all these scenes where Meryl Streep is a woman who runs her own business, who has these like long conversations with her adult daughters about the choices that they're making in their lives and that she's making in her lives, how to know if you're making the right choices and how they should feel about their parents, their divorced parents' complicated relationship, and like how that has affected them in the time that they were growing up and now that they're adults. Like there's a lot of feminism in there. Right. Her breaking up with her ex-husband who's married to another woman is not the moment when watching that movie that you're like, yeah, ladies.
You're right. The most anti-feminist thing about that listing is the fact that it's ignoring all of this like really juicy, great like relationships between femmes and like matriarchal behaviors. And
how many of them so far in this list have been about a woman interacting with a man? Like not all of it. It started with the crazy ex-girlfriend, the Crazy Rich Asian, which is about an interaction between two women. Yes. An interaction that's about a man, but still, right? But like so much of this is just like, and then she decided she was too good for her boyfriend. Which I feel like is a very basic understanding. Okay, we're gonna continue.
Jess playing football. Bend it like Beckham.
Another great
Played
movie.
in the final today, and we won. How? When? I wasn't going to go, but Dad let me. And it was brilliant. I played the best ever.
In Bend It Like Beckham, Jasminder Jess Bamra comes from a traditional and very conservative Indian family who thinks that her desire to play football, aka soccer, isn't befitting of a girl. Her mother tries to get her to take up different interests, but Jess knows what she really wants.
And if I can't tell you what I want now, then I'll never be happy whatever I do.
She ends up rebelling against her family to go after her dreams, even getting a scholarship to an American school because of her prowess on the field. Though she has a hard time being honest with them, in the end it pays off because she's able to live the life she'd always imagined.
And phone Papu Uncle in Canada as soon as you land. At least there's some family close by.
Number 4, Iris.
I feel like I do agree with them that that's a feminist moment.
Here's the thing that I disagree with. Again, it's a matter of framing. What they say the feminist moment is just playing football. That's actually not the feminist thing that she did.
No, it's the speaking up to her family and being open about what it is she wants and choosing to pursue those interests. And also working with her family to find a way to pursue those interests and also still honor her own cultural heritage, which the movie is very clear is a part of what's happening. And I think that's a feminist moment.
Absolutely. I think the coolest thing about that movie is that we get to see Jess navigating, like, operating as a young woman who wants to play soccer in her, immigrant community, Indian community, but then also navigating the kind of like very white soccer world of England as a woman of color, as a daughter of immigrants. But I will never forgive this movie because the original screenplay had her and Keira Knightley's characters ending up together, and then they just botched it, and I am so mad.
Yeah, the movie as a whole, like every scene like winks at queer identities and then isn't quite willing to go there. Even I feel like their compromise when they decided not to make the girls actually lesbians is that the best friend is gay. But even that, like, first of all, it's never blandly stated. Like the scene where he admits he has a crush on Beckham. He doesn't say like, I am a gay man or I'm in a gay relationship or like anything like that, which is fine. But like, it's still like, if you're really out of the loop, you might miss it kind of thing. And then after that, it's never dealt with. It's like, she knows, and he was honest with her, but like, he's still stuck dealing with his family, and that's it. And so the movie like comes so close to having these really powerful things to say about gender identity and relationships and queerness, and it isn't willing to go that mile, and that's disappointing in what is otherwise a really great movie.
Yeah, love that movie.
Chris's speech to Jasper, The Holiday.
You have never treated me right, ever.
Oh, babe.
Shush! You broke my heart. You acted like somehow it was my fault.
When we first meet Iris, played by Kate Winslet in the Christmas movie The Holiday, she's a sad woman learning that the man she's been in love with for ages is getting engaged to another woman. Throughout the story, he continues to string her on, keeping her on the hook, despite obviously not having any intention of giving her what she wants. By the time the story is about to wrap up, though, Iris has learned a thing or two about gumption and serves Jasper a speech telling him to get out of her life. We cannot watch this scene without being inspired.
It's over. This twisted, toxic thing between us. It's finally finished.
Number 3.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I mean, just the idea of sitting down at the holiday and seeing this scene and sitting there and maybe with your white wine and your big moo-moo and, you know, your tissues and being like, I'm gonna break up with my boyfriend, by God. She did it, and I can do it.
Again, just the act of breaking up with a shitty boyfriend does not make a powerful feminist moment in a film.
Once again, Miss Mojo, if you're watching, Professor Walker would like to recommend that you read Aristotle's Poetics, and particularly the part about plot structure, because you will learn that catharsis is not feminism. What you have here is catharsis. That is not feminism. You heard it here first.
I feel like that's all we need to say.
Bridget quitting. Bridget Jones's Diary.
Bridget.
This is the same thing.
I mean, I know it's been awkward as arse, but there's no need to leave.
No, actually there is.
The audience knew it was a bad idea for Bridget to get involved with her boss, Daniel Cleaver, who was obviously a total cad from the start. Their totally inappropriate workplace flirtation is hard to witness a couple of decades after the film was released. But after being treated pretty abysmally by him, Bridget finally gets it together and quits her job, leaving Daniel in the dust.
You were expected to give at least 6 weeks' notice.
Ah, yes, well, I thought with the company being in so much trouble and all, you wouldn't really miss the person who waltzes in a see-through top and fannies about with the press releases.
Now, we don't think she should have had to leave her workplace because of the way he treated her, but considering she did have another job lined up, it probably was for the best to get out of there.
But if staying here means working within 10 yards of you, frankly, I'd rather have a job wiping Saddam Hussein's ass.
Number 2,
So again, this one at least has slight elements of like leaving a toxic work environment.
Mm-hmm.
But
which
like,
isn't feminist, to be fair, like, just so we're clear.
No, although I think like the feminist movement has certainly worked on issues related to that, to sexual impropriety in the workplace, to abusive sexual dynamics between bosses and employees. Like there's a relationship there to like the modern feminist movement, certainly, like hashtag me too, Bridget Jones did it first, but also in the context of the movie, what's important about that is that she's just leaving a shitty relationship because she found a better boyfriend, and she's leaving a shitty job because she found a better job.
That's it. That's the tweet. Like, I don't know what else to add to it, but I agree. I think that if you know what would have been a lot cooler actually would be for this ending in terms of like feminist political content would have been for her to take his job and for her to take his position of power, or for her to, rally with her coworkers and say, hey, you know what's fucked up? That this skis bag is the head of the department. Like, let's rally around making sure that him and people like him don't get positions of power like this anymore. Let's strike. Going on a strike would have been very feminist. She should have gone on a strike.
Well, and like you've got in that scene, you saw it just now, you've got the like sassy, slightly older woman who's like maybe 40. Like she's not old, but she's older than Bridget. And she's been around the whole time, like knowing what the boss is up to and rolling her eyes and being like, oh, these poor younger women like don't understand what they're getting swept up into. And then she's there listening to Bridget quit and being like all smug, like, yes, she's finally learned. And like, okay, so you're telling me that you know what this boss is doing to the younger women in the office all the time, and all you can hope is that the women catch on and quit?
Yeah, I think that's a thing in these movies that I find really difficult in terms of like reconciling it with the feminist discourse that I'm invested in, which is about like relations, like networks of connections, relationships, and building coalition with other femmes, with other women, with other oppressed people, and like building up from there. And there's so much in these movies that's just like one lone single career girl against the world, which is like actually not a super feminist structure in my opinion.
Yeah. Moving into this next part of the video, I remember watching it the first time I saw this pop up, and I, knowing exactly what scene this is, was like, what the fuck is their argument gonna be?
Okay, let's see.
Sally saying she's not a consolation prize when Harry met Sally.
Are you seeing anybody?
Harry.
What?
I don't want to talk about this.
Why not?
I don't want to talk about it.
There are a lot of troubling things going on when you look back at When Harry Met Sally, which was released in 1989. It's more and more clear that Harry treated Sally badly, especially after he emotionally detached from her after they slept together, despite how close they'd previously been.
Why can't we get past this? I mean, are we going to carry this thing around forever?
Forever. It just happened.
It happened 3 weeks ago.
She stands up for herself and calls him out on his behavior. When Harry tries to come crawling back to her with apologies, Sally makes sure he knows that she doesn't want to be a consolation prize just because he can't find anyone else. Of course, they do end up together, but Sally made sure it was under the terms she wanted.
It doesn't work this way.
Well, how does it work?
Oh, no.
Half raspberry, half cherry with a squirt of Coke on top. Our combo.
While we get this ad going,
Having a
I'm
nap.
gonna skip and then I'm gonna pause for a minute. Because is that what happened? Did she make sure that they got together on her terms? I'm pretty sure he talked her down to his terms.
Yep.
Like, I know this movie pretty well, and I've never thought, oh, thank God she waited until he'd adjusted all of his expectations to meet her own.
No, he's fully set the terms, and she decided to give in. That is what happens.
Great.
No, this way.
It's very important.
Okay, I think this is when they go into their, like, runner-ups. But, like, wow, do they not understand what happens in When Harry Met Sally?
Yeah, once again, I feel like, again, Professor Walker recommends that Miss Mojo attend the script analysis class so we can talk a little bit more about the basics of understanding plot and character and dialogue.
Yeah.
Come on over.
Anyone who's watching right now, go check out our episode on When Harry Met Sally, which we did this past season and is really good. And I feel like we talk about a lot of the like good things and bad things in the movie. And I don't have a problem with the way their relationship unfolds in the movie, including like that scene where the two of them are arguing about the sleeping together. I think that it's both more nuanced than that and also a little less complicated. Like the movie's not trying to make a statement that like Harry's made a big mistake. It's making a statement that two of them are interpreting what happened differently and need to fight it out in order to get to a common understanding, because that's what their relationship is like, which like is fine, but is not this big moment of her like not being a consolation prize. Like that's not what the scene is about. The scene is about they're both upset and don't know how to express themselves.
Exactly. This is definitely like a scene of its moment in the like terms of, you know, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. How are they ever going to get along? It's not a moment where she's asserting herself. In fact, it makes me long for a rom-com where it ends with one woman just being like, I don't want to be with anybody. Wouldn't that be cool?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I feel like if this movie were made today, that's a much more likely outcome, is that they wouldn't get together. And I don't mind them getting together, and there's something fun and, you know, and wish fulfillment-y about it, which is fine, because again, these movies don't need to be, you know, big feminist statements. They can just be enjoyable. But like, it's both of them compromise in order to be in their relationship, and not in a way that means they're sacrificing, but in a way that means like they have to meet each other in the middle, which is fine and is healthy and whatever. But I don't think the movie's trying to like make a big feminist statement.
No. No. Much as we love Nora Ephron, Queen.
Yeah, it's just not,
To me, when people, real or imaginary, stand up for themselves and know their worth. So these are great movie moments as far as I'm concerned. Our number one is actually a bit more far-reaching than just one single moment, but I don't want to give too much away, so let's cheer our way through these honorable mentions, and then we'll crown our top feminist moment in a rom-com. Donna's friend sets her straight. Obvious child.
Stop it with the crazy jokes. Why do you care what he needs to know or not? You are the one who has to get this procedure.
Laura Jean staying true to herself. She doesn't change despite her popular boyfriend.
Lame sauce. That is not even close to the best thing in that movie.
What does Miss Mojo think movies are? And also,
I just want
two people just deciding to date or not date is just plot.
Also, Laura Jean staying true to herself and not changing despite her popular boyfriend, that is feminism? That's the base. Are our standards so low? My God, look at that woman over there. She has a hot boyfriend, but she didn't change anything about herself. What an extraordinary exception to life. Like, what? Miss Mojo, ouch.
She and her sisters are learning to live in a world without a mother, that they support each other, that she comes into her own as a young woman and learns how to speak plainly about what it is she wants to this man. Like, it's not about her choosing not to compromise who she is. It's about her learning how to like communicate.
Well, she and him both together on even terms negotiate the terms of their relationship. I actually think that is the most feminist thing in the movie, in addition to her relationship with her sisters without her mom, which I agree with.
From the start, right? And like, it's not supposed to be a real relationship, but like, it also, I think, isn't necessarily a bad framework for how to start a real relationship.
It's pretty great. And also, Obvious Child is a great movie, so I just want to shout that out.
Boys I've loved before.
I'd always fantasized about falling in love in a field, but I just never thought it'd be the kind where you played lacrosse.
Cher isn't going to rush into anything. She's going to wait until it's the right person. Clueless.
Cher, you're a virgin? God, you say that it's a bad thing.
Yes, Jonelle.
I'm sorry. Did Miss Mojo just suggest that waiting for marriage is feminist? Because I have so many questions. Because I'm not saying that waiting for marriage is not feminist, but it's not the most feminist thing. So.
Well, and it's not in the context of the movie, she's not waiting for marriage. She's just waiting for like a real relationship because Cher hasn't had a real boyfriend yet because she's 16 and doesn't like any of the guys at her high school. And apparently the mere acknowledgement that it's okay to not date one of the guys at your high school is feminist as fuck.
I mean, again, I feel like this is just a real indicator of what a dystopian hellscape we live in, that is like the most empowerment that young women can search for.
Also, for the purposes of the movie, this whole conversation about how Cher hasn't had sex yet is actually just building up to the joke that Ty has only had anal sex.
That's the whole point.
The whole joke is, but Ty is also technically a virgin, even though she's kind of not. It has nothing to do with Cher's personal choices.
For the record.
PC term is hymenally challenged.
No.
I am just not interested in doing it until I find the right person. You see how picky I am about my shoes, and they only go on my feet.
Viola going undercover. She dresses as a boy to play soccer. She's the man.
Wait, are you sure I can do this?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. What's up?
Francis buys a villa.
Let's just walk that through. Let's just think that through. So, we accept the fact that sports teams are divided by gender, because that makes sense. And instead of trying to change that rule, I'm going to disguise as another gender that I don't identify with, trick people, and enter into an elaborate bed trick plot. No, that's not feminism, that's Shakespeare. Once again, Miss Mojo, take my class on Shakespeare, and you will learn that it is not always feminism. Sometimes it's just Shakespeare.
There's our next t-shirt. This is not feminism, sometimes it's just Shakespeare. Well, I think it'd be fair to say that the original 12th Night is not feminism. The women are not becoming men so that they can feel, able to live their real lives. They're becoming men so that they won't be shot on the side of the road.
Literally, that is what she says, basically. She's like, I'm afraid of getting raped, so I guess I'd rather dress like a boy.
Feminism.
Nope.
She decides to change her life after her divorce, under the Tuscan sun.
That's what I can be. Yeah. You've not even seen the house.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have...
To be clear, Under the Tuscan Sun is just a 90s woman learns to cope with her divorce movie. It is absolutely the exact same thing as Eat, Pray, Love and any of those. And there's nothing wrong with that genre. And clearly there's a large audience for it. But that genre has been critiqued quite extensively for its performative feminism while still relying on very traditional gender roles and expectations. And that's all I'm gonna say about that.
Have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Don't do that.
Number 1,
But do that for
the
us.
whole movie, Legally Blonde.
I'm going to Harvard.
We know. We're supposed to pick a specific moment, but how could you possibly choose from all the great scenes in Legally Blonde?
I feel comfortable using legal jargon in everyday life. I object.
At first, Elle Woods is wholly committed to getting her boyfriend
God,
Warner
the hair.
back after he dumps her because she isn't serious enough. To prove her worth, she manages to get into Harvard Law School. But her goals soon shift, and getting the guy is no longer what's driving her because she becomes passionate about succeeding in her own right.
If you're going to let one stupid prick ruin your life, you're not the girl I thought you were.
Not only that, but she actually befriends the girl who Warner is currently dating, rather than letting them be pit against each other. In the end, Warner certainly does not come out on top.
I've waited so long to hear you say that. But if I'm going to be a partner in a law firm by the time I'm 30, I need a boyfriend who's not such a complete bonehead.
Do you agree with our pick?
I'm gonna just stop screen sharing because that's the end of the video. What do you think about their final choice?
I have such complicated feelings because on the one hand, I truly, truly love Legally Blonde and I've seen it probably 20 times. But I do think that I have some questions vis-a-vis this thing that I said in the beginning, which is like, I don't believe that empowerment feminism is the brand of feminism that's going to make a better world possible. And so that would be my like very academic contention with it. But I do love this movie very much. What do you think?
I mean, I think that Legally Blonde is really subversive within the genre and the media landscape that it exists in. And so you could absolutely tear a lot of it apart for, you know, the fact that I think a big part of why it's became so popular and is so memeable and everything now is because it still has a like, you know, acceptably culturally attractive lead and, you know, and there's a lot of jokes about her body and her sexuality and all that kind of stuff. But the movie itself is really unusual and subversive in the way that it talks about her ability to use her body and her sexuality and attractiveness to her advantage, both in social and professional settings. Which honestly, I think very few movies make that distinction. And she's able to do both, which is great. And the fact that it acknowledges that both she can learn that she shouldn't just rely on her looks and that there has to be more to her personality and the way that she lives her life, but also does not have to sacrifice her looks and her interests and whatever for those things. You know, so I think that like, yes, I agree with the misguided Ms. Mojo decision that this is a feminist movie. I think it is. I think that it's worth studying from a feminist perspective. I don't know that the brief analysis given to it in this shitty YouTube video covers it.
No, because you're right. I think the best thing about it that is so subversive is that, and they sort of, you know, lean on this, is that Elle starts out trying to like get a boy, and what she falls in love with is the law. Because even in the end, she gets a guy, but like he's so like off to the side. The ultimate climax is her like lawyer success in the courtroom. Like it's so cool.
Yeah, no, it's like the movie is about her professional success and celebrates her relationship with others through that professional success. Even her getting the boyfriend in the end is framed as like he's celebrating her graduation from law school with a proposal now that like she's got a position at a firm and he's really proud of her, right? Like it's not about their sexual relationship or their romantic relationship, which are both still there, but like that's not what the movie's talking about, and I think that's great. And I think there's a lot of really wonderful things about the movie and about her interactions with women in the movie, which I think is one of, again, the most subversive things of it within this romantic comedy genre, because she does have not only really, really sort of productive relationships with women, but with a large variety of women. You know, she makes friends with her hairdresser, who is, you know, is framed in the movie as white trash, right? Like she's lower class, she's doesn't have a lot of money, she's dealing with a nasty divorce from a guy in a, you know, a trailer park. Like she's framed as what you would not see as like someone from Bel Air or wherever Elle is supposed to be from, as like someone who's of value as a friend. But they have this wonderful friendship in which they really support each other and help each other in relationships, in their professions, in their whatever. She forms this relationship with her ex's fiance, who is someone who is seen as like a social equal, if not even a social superior to her. She also has this relationship with the female professor, who encourages her to not give up on this dream despite the discouragement she's getting from the male professors, right? Like you see all these different kinds of relationships between women, and I think that's really wonderful and much more realistic and representative of what like a normal woman's actual experiences are.
Totally. And she navigates sexual harassment from her professor. And one of the things that I've always really loved about this movie is like what made an impression on me as a young girl watching it was that she was a smart girl who didn't make her whole identity being smart. You know what I mean? Like, that wasn't her identity. Being smart was just something that she was in addition to her personality. You know, like, I love that they establish that she doesn't do well on the LSAT because she suddenly tried at school. She was already a really good student. She was already really smart.
Right, like she's got, you know, whatever they say, like a 4.0 GPA. She's the head of her chapter of her sorority. Like, it's clear that she's not, Warner sees her as this like, oh, her entire life is just about being pretty. But she's clearly worked hard for a lot of the stuff she's gotten. And a lot of it's within a world that is seen as less than as feminine. You know, she's majoring in fashion marketing, and she's the head of her sorority as opposed to the head of, like, you know, whatever, the college Democrats or something like that. But like, these are things that she's worked hard for and is important to her, and her parents aren't necessarily the ones who are pushing that, because they're like, you're pretty, honey, like just go get a nice husband. And she's already from the get-go not satisfied with that, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, so both her intelligence and her beauty, her perceived attractiveness, you know, whatever it is, neither are her defining feature, even though there are different people who perceive it as being her defining feature.
Yeah, which is why I'm so glad that the thing that they picked was the whole movie and not just like, she gets one over on Warren, doesn't she?
Right. The way the rest of this video went, that's kind of what I was expecting. And like, that's so not like the big feminist moment. Like, the whole thing and her whole persona and understanding of herself, I think, is much more feminist, and it has much more to say about feminism than just like her deciding that she doesn't need to chase after Warner.
Well, and I think especially in the time, because, you know, I always like to come in and bring the cultural history moment, but like, this came out, I think, in 2001. So we're talking about like peak MTV culture. You know, this is a time when I think the monstrous feminine was kind of on high display, you know, kind of celebutantes were this kind of maligned character in American society that represented excess in every possible way of sexuality, of materialism. And Elle Woods came in and was like, yes, I'm a sexual character. Yes, I'm a materialistic in some ways character, but I'm also smart as hell and really successful and driven and my own person, which was a very, like, looking back on it, it was even more subversive than I realized when I was younger.
Oh, absolutely. Every time I watch this, I'm struck by just how strong its statement is about her and her feminism and her self-actualization and all that kind of stuff, you know. And she's coded to be a Paris Hilton type, right? Like, she's literally has
100%.
Chihuahua in the handbag,
tiny dog.
You know, but like, one of the little brief cutaway moments that I freaking love is her on her exercise equipment watching CNN and reading her law textbook. And because it's this great moment where it's like, she's not exercising because people need her to exercise so that she stays thin or to impress a boy, because she's not like doing that at that point. She's just trying to do well in her classes and her life, but she's still like taking care of herself and being active and like pursuing her goals. And I just love that screenshot, because it's not something that you see in any other movie. Any other time you see a woman on exercise equipment, she's like flirting with the guy next to her or like trying to lose weight. And that's not what that scene's about, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, there's a lot of like details to love about that movie.
Yeah. So anyway, that was our analysis of this collection of feminist moments in rom-coms.
Yeah, well, as I said, I heartily invite Miss Mojo to come take my class on plot structure and Shakespeare, to be able to figure out that some of these things are not in fact feminism, but in fact plot devices. So
some of them are just
you're welcome anytime.
Let us know in the description if you agree with us or disagree with us, which, like, we welcome disagreement. If you think some of these moments are really great and like they had an impact on your life, or like your relationship with an ex-boyfriend was a real like strong moment of feminism for you, like, please tell us. We're not trying to say that like none of that is feminism and none of that can be of value to anyone. We just don't like the way they talked about it in this video, but let us know. Also, for anyone tuning in, our podcast is starting season 2 on October 1st. Thursday, October 1st, we will be back with our first episode of season 2. Check it out. It's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to that one. We also have a bunch of announcements that are going to appear over the next week or two on our social media. So follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, follow us here on YouTube. And we've got some really cool, exciting things that are happening. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I can't wait to share with you guys. There really are some very cool things in the pipe.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Moving into season 2, both of us are going to be hosting every episode, or at least almost every episode. So you'll get to hear more of us, or be forced to hear more of us. I don't know where you fall on that. But we've also got some really great guests coming up as well. A few repeats, a few new people. So join us on October 1st for our next episode, and keep an eye out for some exciting stuff coming your way.
That's right. We appreciate you watching and commenting. We love you all. Don't let anyone kill your joy, especially not us.
We try, but don't let us win.
Don't let us do it. We're monsters.
I do really want to go watch Legally Blonde now, though. So
yeah, I do too.
Bring me joy.
Yeah, maybe we'll go watch that. All right, I'm gonna end the stream now, and maybe Eliza and I will go watch Legally Blonde.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.